Join me for a trip around a Soviet museum in rural Russia. This is the photo lab, and I used to quite like photography, so here we've got a lot of the old films that they used to have in the Soviet Union. So we've got 16mm, is that 16mm? 65mm, and a good old 36mm Chrome 135/36. So some of these cameras, well, I actually used to have one of these Smenas, and it was quite a nice little camera, very manual and old-fashioned, but very, very nice. So this is the box here for the Smenas, and these cameras are just beautiful. Look at these Villia. I think this was a more upmarket one. So we've got a Sokol here, which is quite heavy and nice. Zenit. So this used to be popular Zenit cameras. Good old-fashioned manual cameras where you had to wind the film on. What have we got here? This looks like video cameras, or Volna, which is wave in Russian. And this looks like a handheld video camera, so a little bit bigger than my camera now. Quite the same style though, almost the same style as my Sony. So this is a Lomo, and here we got the old film boxes. Very interesting. And this looks like black and white film negatives here. So if you're younger, you've probably never seen negatives. And here we've got what must have been probably a developing kit. So I guess, is this an enlarger? Can anyone tell me, is this an enlarger? Or is it some sort of developing kit? I think it's an enlarger, because it's got somewhere to hold the negatives here. And here we got some old slides, 1977, very, very nice. So guys, next we've got the kitchen. So in the past I've had a lot of Russian flats with this type of cooker, good old Soviet gas cooker. And almost every flat you would go in Russia, it would have a table like this with a couple of these small stools. Now let's see what we can see here. So we've got some interesting ornaments for the kitchen here, and salt, pepper. And here we got a good old Samovar. So can you imagine sitting in your Soviet flat when it's -40, having a cup of tea? So this make is still, believe it or not, in existence now, Biroza. Although now I think it's made in China, and it just gets, oops, don't think that's going to open. Now it's made in China and it just gets a badge slapped on it in Belarus or somewhere. So here we got the old Soviet cutlery. So look at these, we got a very fetching little fork here, very pretty. So what does this say here? Totsami buffet. Here's the most buffet. And what you would get in a lot of kitchens is a radio like this, which would tune probably to just one station. So here we've got the washing powder from the Soviet Union. So we've got Oka, Bio, Lotos. This is really nice. And we've got someone's drawn the mama, papa, mama, sister, yeah. And this is an old bottle. Look at this. Oops. So what do you think this is? So that, believe it or not, is a very old vinegar bottle. And look at this contraption here. I'm not sure what you do with this. Is this some sort of pressure cooker? And we got the old radio here. So the radios were generally made inside Russia. So we've got here, oh, it's quite heavy. And the price of this was, believe it or not, 59 rubles at the time. So guys, here we've got more radios. So in this city, there used to be a radio factory. And you can see here, IJ 305C, so this would have been made right in this city here. These are quite quaint. Gram cost. One thing I used to see is a lot of radios that were tuned just to one station. What does this say? Alpinist radio, look at that. Can you imagine tuning that? This one looks very funky too. Spidola, look at that, Spidola. So this one I think has shortwave, it says SV there. So this is a radio enthusiast's heaven. Let's have a look at this one up here. This is a nice colour, so this is a Signal 304. Wonder what type of battery that would have used. Very funky way of tuning it with this dial here. Here we've got quite a nice selection of clocks and things here. So I'm guessing these were all, of course, made in the Soviet Union. Not too sure where the watches are, but we'll find them. Okay, so next one is going to be the kids' playroom. Ah, this is quite nice, colourful, bright. Kids' playroom, can you imagine this? If you're a child in the Soviet Union, you'd have some of these things to play with. So you'd have your toy car made of some sort of tin. Of course you would have a picture of good old Lenin there. And lots of dolls. Did I say it? A bear? So we've got. Sounds a little bit out of tune, that one. Let's see what we got in here. Oh my god, more toys. Lots of toys in here. So this is the region of Mertskaya that I'm in, and this is the main town. And outside you've got a region with a few smaller towns. You've got like Glazov up there, Mozgar here, Sarapul there. And then we've got a bigger map of the Soviet Union there. I have to say the toys are slightly different to what I grew up with in the UK. What would you say this one is? Probably a woman's living room. Definitely the woman's living room here. So she's got a sewing machine made in the Soviet Union. All the things that a woman needs. You've got your iron. Let's have a look at one of these irons. And you've got your magazines to read from the past, so they've got designs in how to make some clothes. Of course, the height of fashion for a 1960s or 70s Russian woman. Ah, just what you need, a wig. Okay, let's get a shot of this corridor here. So guys, I guess this is the man's room then, if the other one was the woman's room. This looks very official. We've got a typewriter here. Of course, the guy's been having a good smoke. These radios are quite big. It's a hell of a size. Look at this one. So if we look at the stations here, we've got Minsk, Leningrad, Kiev, Tashkent, Tallinn, Sofia. So all over Europe you could listen to on this. Here we got some of the artists from the Soviet Union. This one looks like the Russian equivalent of Concorde. I forget what it was called. Got a fine selection of hats here, which we're going to try on in a minute. Where can we park the camera? Where can we park the camera? I'm definitely going to have to try one of these on. Okay guys, what do we think? I'm not sure if the hat matches this uniform, but we're trying. So everything here that Soviet man needs. We've got a lot of tools, got some clothes in our wardrobe, fine selection of hats, and of course, can't beat a bit of Lenin there. So here it's saying no alcohol, but of course the Russian man has alcohol. And this looks like it would have been an early electronic calculator. Electronica, made in the Soviet Union. Quite interesting. 18 rubles. So guys, I have to recommend coming to this museum. It's amazing.